Ndewo, no, and welcome to your weekly Omnibus. If you've had a busy week and didn't quite get round to listening to the Igbo Daily Drops, this is your chance to catch up. Now, you get to hear all 5 episodes from week 17, brought together in one place. Our mission is simple, to raise 10,000 next-generation Igbo speakers. And every phrase you practice brings us one step closer. So, whether you're in the car, on a walk, or relaxing at home, let's spend a few minutes inside the Igbo world. True stories, proverbs, and the sentences we learned this week. Ka anyị bido. Let us begin. Nnewi, 1895. The Church Missionary Society has opened a school 2 streets from the Ezokonkwo compound. The Obi smells of palm smoke and dried earth, and the particular dryness of harmattan. A smell like old wood and dust, and something faintly sweet. The smell of a season that takes the week. Ndubisi Ezokonkwo sits on his carved stool, spine straight, both hands resting on his knees. Morning light enters the doorway at a low angle and cuts across the laterite floor in one hard stripe. Across from him, cross-legged on a mat, is his grandson Osinachi, 9 years old, 4 months into mission school, his slate and chalk folded away in the corner. Ndubisi does not speak. He points. He points toward the women's quarters, the low doorways behind the cooking fire. Smoke dark at the lintels. Kedu onye ọ bụ? Who is that person to you? Osinachi answers without hesitating. Ọ bụ nne m. She is my mother. Ndubisi nods. He points at the grave mound under the nkwu palm in the courtyard, the one with the smooth stone marker, the fronds throwing thin shadow across it. Kedu onye ọ bụ? Osinachi hesitates. Grandmother, he says, in English, the word his teacher from Lagos uses. A young man who speaks Igbo with a flat, horrid accent, as if the language is something to move through rather than live in. Ndubisi asks quietly, Gịnị ka anyị na-akpọ ya n'asụsụ anyị? What do we call her in our language? Osinachi opened his mouth. He knows who she was. He knows she was loved. But Nnochie, grandmother, the old mother, the word that carries her exact position in the compound's memory, sits across his tongue now, like a stone. 4 months of one English word for everyone. English gives him a category. Igbo requires a relationship. Ndubisi lifts his offer. The carved stick whose wood is smooth and dark from his father's hands and his father's fathers before that, and rests it across both knees. He does not raise his voice. He says, Ka anyị bido ọzọ. Let us begin again. Ndewo. No. I am Yvonne Choma Mbanefo, heritage futurist and daughter of the soil. Welcome to Igbo Daily Drops, Episode 81, Week 17, Day 1, Monday. Today, both English and Igbo name family. Igbo goes further. Its kinship terms are a living constitution, quietly encoding rights, obligations, and belonging in everyday speech. Ka anyị bido. Let us begin. The Obi is the map of the compound made into a room. Who sits where? Who inherits what? Who speaks first when the family gathers to settle a dispute? These things were never explicitly taught. They were breathed in, absorbed the way a child absorbs the smell of the compound at dawn, or the weight of an elder's silence. But Osinachi has been at the mission school for 4 months. The teacher there has introduced a remarkable simplification. Family. One word. Everyone fits inside it. The mission bell rings from 2 streets away. Osinachi's ear tilts toward it, just slightly. Ndubisi does not look up. Obunnem, she is my mother, is a claim. It tells you who sits in the inner circle when the lineage gathers. It tells you who speaks for you when you cannot speak for yourself. Obunnam, he is my father, names authority. It tells you who holds the offer when the lineage meets. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ, we are a family, declares a network of obligation, land and belonging that no single English word contains. He is not against the school. He is against the child forgetting the name of the room he is standing in. Today, 3 sentences. Not vocabulary. Identity. Repeat after me. Sentence 1. Obunnem. In English, she is my mother. Obunnem. 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 In the Obi, Osinachi says this word precisely, as a claim on the living and the dead. Sentence 2. Obunnam. He is my father. Obunnam. 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 The carved stool, the doorpost worn smooth, the grave beneath the palm. His father's father's father. All inside these 4 syllables. Sentence 3. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ. In English, we are a family. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ. Not a category, a declaration. We are this specific web with these specific names and all their specific obligations. These 3 sentences are in your free speaking workbook this week. Download it at learnibonow.com. If you're driving right now, just listen. The workbook will be waiting. Ndubisi begins again. He points to the women's quarters, to the grave, to the elder woman crossing the courtyard with firewood balanced on her head, her wrapper catching the harmattan light. Different names, different roles, different claims. This time, Osinachi answers slowly. He corrects himself. Nne ochie, grandmother. Nna ochie, grandfather. The Igbo returns. When he has named each person correctly, Ndubisi lifts the ofo and holds it out, flat across both palms, facing his grandson. He says nothing. Osinachi looks at the smooth dark wood carrying 4 generations of witness, and he understands. This was not memory. It was inheritance. Nwata ma ndị nna ya amarugo ndị ichie. Nwata ma ndị nna ya amarugo ndị ichie. A child who knows their fathers has consequently known their ancestors. What Ndubisi placed in his grandson's hands in that obi is exactly what this proverb names. Nwata ma ndị nna ya amalugo ndị ichie. Nwata ma ndị nna ya amalugo ndị ichie. A child who knows their fathers has consequently known their ancestors. The ancestors are not past, they are continuous. The kinship terms are the living thread. When the thread is cut, the ancestors recede, not because they're gone, but because there is no longer a word in the child's mouth to call them home. I have sat in many Igbo compounds where the youngest person in the room could tell you, without hesitation, whether the woman entering the courtyard was Nnochie on the mother's side or Nnochie on the father's side, and what that distinction entitled her to say at a funeral and when. The formal terms are Nnenne and Nnenna, mother's mother and father's mother. Distinct legal categories, not interchangeable. Not every child knows this anymore. The scholar who documented this most precisely is Sister Joseph Therese Agbasiere, Igbo woman, Catholic nun, Oxford-trained anthropologist. In her work, Women in Igbo Life and Thought, published by Lineage in 2000. Agbasiere identified the central problem, that the Igbo kinship system cannot be described adequately in the language of another culture. She documented what any fluent Igbo speaker already knows, that these are not vocabulary words. They are what she called jural prescriptions. Each term encodes specific mutual obligations, inheritance rights, and ceremonial authority. When Osinachi's teacher collapsed all these terms into the word family, he was not simplifying a grammar. He was dismantling a legal system that governed compounds and disputes for centuries without a courthouse. Other civilizations have known this precision too. Roman law had 17 distinct categories for family relationship, each carrying different inheritance claims. Juries spent centuries debating them. Igbo oral custom encoded the same distinctions in everyday speech, inside the compound, before breakfast. What linguists now call lexical density, the number of distinct terms a language holds for a single conceptual field. Igbo elders built into daily life centuries before the academic category had a name. Kinship terminology is not vocabulary. It is the original constitution. If you want to practice these sentences with other families, with your children, the Igbo village-speaking gym will soon be open. Before this day ends, say "Anyị bụ ezinụlọ" aloud to someone you share blood with. However near, however far. Not as language practice, as a declaration. The ancestor you name today cannot be lost by tomorrow. Every sentence you learn is a drop, and every drop feeds Oke Osimiri Mmụta Igbo, the ocean of Igbo knowledge. Grab your free speaking workbook at learnibonow.com. Rate us wherever you're listening. Your review is how another learner finds their way home. This has been your Igbo Daily Drop. Abụ nwanne gị nwanyị Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo. I am your sister Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo. Ka aha ndị ichie gị dịrị n'ọnụ gị. May the names of your ancestors remain in your mouth. Ka anyị hụ echi. Until we meet again tomorrow. Virginia Colony, August 1731. The overseer's horse has been gone 3 minutes. Amechi counts the silence. He moves alongside Obiechina's row. Close enough to murmur, far enough to look like two men working. The overseer knows him as Thomas. In this row, between these leaves, he is Amechi. Tobacco leaves, thick and wavy. Nothing in them from home. He is from Uguta, where the lake sits blue-green even in Harmattan, and the breeze comes off the water at the same hour every afternoon. That breeze does not come here. He has catalogued every absence. That precision is how he knows what he is holding on to. Obiechina has not spoken in 3 weeks. Amechi speaks to himself. Tell me her name, he says in Igbo. Your mother's mother. Obiechina's hands move in the leaves. His face gives nothing. Ndewo. No, I am Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo, heritage futurist and daughter of the soil. Welcome to Igbo Daily Drops, episode 82, week 17, day 2, Tuesday. Today, the words that keep a lineage alive. You cannot erase a people whose mouths still hold the names. Ka anyị bido? Let us begin. Amechi repeats the question as a lesson. Ọ bụ nne m ochie, he says. She is my grandmother. Her name was Mgbeke. She lived on the Njaba River. She knew every plant along that bank. He says her name at full voice. For one breath, this Virginia field holds a woman from Uguta who knew plants. In Ordinary, the Ndi Ichie do not wait in Igbo land. They travel with the living. Every night, Amechi recites his compound's names. Parents, grandparents, siblings. You say the names so the Ndi Ichie know you are still here. Obiechina has stopped. His chi is going quiet. Today, 3 sentences, the words that kept a people alive across 3,000 miles of water. Repeat after me. Sentence 1. Ọ bụ nne m ochie. In English, she is my grandmother. Ọ bụ nne m ochie. Ọ bụ nne m ochie. Ọ bụ nne m ochie. The word that proves she is still real. Sentence 2. Anyị na-echeta ha. In English, we remember them. Anyị na-echeta ha. Anyị na-echeta ha. Anyị na-echeta ha. Sentence 3. Ha bụ ndị nna nna anyị. In English, they are our ancestors. Ha bụ ndị nna nna anyị. Ha bụ ndị nna nna anyị. Ha bụ ndị nna nna anyị. Not the distant dead, the present company. Listening. These 3 sentences are in your free speaking workbook this week. Download them at learnigbonnow.com. Driving right now? Just listen. The workbook will be waiting. Amechi stops teaching. He says the words instead. Not as instruction, as gift. Ọ bụ nne m ochie, for himself. Anyị na-echeta ha. Ha bụ ndị nna nna anyị. Present. Here, in this field. Obiechina's hands stop. He says one word. Nne. Lower than either of them remembered. Then once more. Ọ bụ nne m ochie. Something in his face opens. Not tears, recognition. A steadying. The word still exists. And if the word still exists, so does she. Obiechina did not know he was disappearing until someone from his own lake shore refused to let the names die. Onye gba nkịtị, chi ya agba nkịtị. Onye gba nkịtị, chi ya agba nkịtị. If one remains silent, their chi goes silent too. In Ordinani, silence is not passive. It is a spiritual instruction your chi will follow. When I sat with this knowledge, I understood something it took centuries to name. In Igbo in the Atlantic World, Indiana University Press, 2016. Gwendolyn Midlow Hall traces Igbo clustering across the Americas, and Vincent Carretta shows Igbo identity held in language, not geography. The homeland was gone. The mouth was not. Patrick Ike Umezi, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Igbo Scholars International Journal, 2023. Igbo names are philosophical arguments, petitions to the Ndichie at birth. The ancestors heard Obiechina's name. They were in that field waiting. Speaking is not survival instinct. It is cosmological infrastructure. To practice these sentences with other families, with your children, the Igbo village speaking gym will soon be open. Before this day ends, say Anyị na-echeta ha aloud, looking at a photograph or thinking of someone who has gone. Not as practice, as a declaration. Onye gba nkịtị, chi ya agba nkịtị. Onye gba nkịtị, chi ya agba nkịtị. Your chi is listening. Every sentence you learn is a drop, and every drop feeds Oke Osimiri Mmụta Igbo, the ocean of Igbo knowledge. Grab your free speaking workbook at learnigbonnow.com. Rate us wherever you're listening. Your review is how another learner finds their way home. This has been your Igbo Daily Drop. Abụ nwanne gị nwaanyị Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo. I am your sister Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo. Ka ọ bụrụ na ị na-ekwu aha ha, ha na-anọ. May you speak their names, and may they remain. Ka anyị hụ echi. Until we meet again tomorrow. Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, November 2024. Ikechukwu is 38 years old, standing in the Nigerian section of Marché Guro on a Wednesday afternoon. The shelf in front of him holds 6 tins of tomato paste, a packet of ogiri wrapped in newspaper, and 2 bottles of palm oil sweating in the heat. He has been in Abidjan 14 months. He works for a French logistics firm in Plateau. Server infrastructure, long hours, good salary. He is, by every measure he was raised with, doing well. His phone is propped against the palm oil. His mother in Ogu is talking. She can see the shelf behind him. She asks, Nnam, ị hụrụ ụmụnna gị n'Abidjan? My son, have you seen or found your kinsmen in Abidjan? He says yes. There is a man from Nnewi at the firm. They eat together sometimes. Share taxis home when the traffic on Boulevard Lagonaire locks everything into a wall. Good man. Very good man. His mother is quiet for 2 full seconds. Nnam, nwanne dị mma, mana ọ bụrụ ụmụnna. A good brother, but that is not ụmụnna. Ikechukwu looks at the ogiri in his hand. Around him, French, Dioula, Bete, 3 languages in 20 meters of aisle. Not 1 word of Igbo in the room, except the ones coming through his earbud. The shelf smells of fermented seeds and hot plastic. Outside, the generator note shifts up half a pitch as something larger joins the circuit. He does not argue. He knows dimly that she is right. He does not yet know the shape of what she is naming. Ndewo, no. I am Yvonne Choma Mbanefo, heritage futurist and daughter of the soil. Welcome to Igbo Daily Drops. Episode 83, Week 17, Day 3. Wednesday. Today, the institution that holds your name when you are not in the room. What Igbo people in the diaspora are mourning when they say they feel alone is not loneliness. It is the absence of umunna, a welfare, governance, and institutional memory system that has no Western equivalent. Friends are chosen, umunna is structural. The difference is not emotional, it is civilizational. Ka anyị bido. Let us begin. Umunna is the patrilineal kinship unit in Igbo society, the men of a man's lineage, and the wider family web that holds them. But the word carries more than blood. It carries obligation, memory, and standing. When a man travels, his umunna knows his name in the village. When he marries, his umunna negotiates on his behalf. When he dies, his umunna buries him correctly, with full knowledge of who he was and who his people were before him. This is not warmth, it is architecture. Ikechukwu has a friend. a good friend. The man from Nnewi knows his face, knows where he works, knows his order from the Ivorian pepper soup woman near the farm. He does not know Ikechukwu's grandfather's name. He does not know which Omunna in Ogwu holds the land. He cannot speak for Ikechukwu at a bride price negotiation or stand beside his family at a funeral and say, Anyị bụ ụmụnna. We are his kinsmen. He texted this morning, March tonight? Ikechukwu replied, yeah, sure. The read receipt showed immediately. Neither of them mentioned Sunday. Today, 3 sentences. These are the sentences that place you inside the structure, not merely beside it. Repeat after me. Sentence 1. Anyị bụ ụmụnna. In English, we are kinsmen. Anyị bụ ụmụnna. Anyị bụ ụmụnna. Anyị bụ ụmụnna. This is the sentence Ikechukwu cannot yet say of anyone in Abidjan and knows it. Sentence 2. Ụmụnna nọ n'ụlọ. In English, the kinsmen are at home. Ụmụnna nọ n'ụlọ. Ụmụnna nọ n'ụlọ. Ụmụnna nọ n'ụlọ. Home is where the architecture still stands. Sentence 3. Ụmụnna maara m. In English, the kinsmen know me. Ụmụnna maara m. Ụmụnna maara m. Ụmụnna maara m. This is the sentence Ikechukwu says in the car alone. Not yet as a fact, as a future he is building toward. These 3 sentences are in your free speaking workbook this week. Download it at learnigbonow.com. If you're driving right now, just listen. The workbook will be waiting. His mother is still talking. She says, Ikechukwu, kedu ihe ụmụnna na-eme mgbe ọ dị mma? What does ụmụnna do when things are going well? She thinks. Then, ha maara aha gị mgbe ị nọghị ebe ahụ. Ha maara na ị dị ndụ. They know your name when you're not in the room. They know you are alive. He buys the ogiri. He pays in CFA francs. He walks to his car. He sits with the engine running against the Abidjan afternoon. He says it aloud, quietly, into no one. Ụmụnna maara m. The kinsmen know me. He cannot say it as a fact. He says it as a sentence he intends to make true. What just happened in that car is exactly what this proverb has always named. Adịghị akọrọ akpịrị na ya na ụtara bụ nwanne. Adịghị akọrọ akpịrị na ya na ụtara bụ nwanne. The throat does not need to be introduced to pounded fufu as a relative. What belongs to you by structure needs no negotiation. What you must choose and maintain and perform is friendship. What simply is, from before your birth, is ụmụnna. Ikechukwu did not lose his ụmụnna in Abidjan. He carried it. He had simply not yet felt its weight. I have watched this in every Igbo gathering I've attended across 3 continents. We fill rooms with Igbo people. We laugh, we eat, we speak the language, and we go home. The warmth is real, but it is not the institution. The Umunna is not warmth. It is what functions when you are not in the room. Dr. Alexander Aniche of Enugu State University of Science and Technology, writing in the Online Journal of Arts, Management and Social Sciences in 2017, documents precisely what is being lost. The Umunna as a welfare, governance, and memory system that covered resource allocation, dispute resolution, social protection, and intergenerational knowledge transfer. Not sentimentality, infrastructure. The Akan of Ghana built a parallel system, the Abusua, in which the maternal lineage performs the same function: memory, obligation, and standing across time. The architecture differs. The civilizational logic is identical. What Western social science calls bonding capital, Robert Putnam's term in 2000, is not the same thing. Bonding capital is dense, closed networks. Umunna is something older. Not networks you build, but standing you are born into. The institution came first. The theory is still catching up. Umunna is not social capital. It is social infrastructure. The difference matters. If you want to practice these sentences with other families, with your children, the Igbo village speaking gym will soon be open. Before this day ends, say Umunna Maram aloud. As you do one thing that belongs to the life you are building, not the life you are performing. Not as language practice, as a declaration. The throat does not need to be introduced to what already belongs to it. Say the sentence. Let the belonging begin. Every sentence you learn is a drop, and every drop feeds Oko Osimiri Mutibo, the ocean of Igbo knowledge. Grab your free speaking workbook at learnibonow.com. Rate us wherever you're listening. Your review is how another learner finds their way home. This has been your Igbo Daily Drop. Abụ nwanne gị nwanyị Yvonne Choma Mbanefo. I am your sister Yvonne Choma Mbanefo. Ka ụmụnna gị mara aha gị n'oge ọbụla. May your kinsmen know your name always. Ka anyị hụ echi. Until we meet again tomorrow. Ihe akpụ ọka in what is now Enugu State, 1892. The harmattan has turned the earth to fine red powder. Adaeze stands before 12 women in the Obi of the Ezanikwe compound, Ihe akpụ ọka. She is 22 years old. Her hands are still. Her chin is level. She has not looked at the ground once since she entered. Egusi seeds are spread to dry on a mat at the edge of the courtyard. The harmattan has cracked the clay walls on the eastern side. The stream is a whisper behind it all. Adaeze's husband's family sent a message 3 days ago. She has no right to the small plot of land her father left her. She is a wife now. His property rules govern her. Her father's land belongs to the men of her father's lineage. The men of the compound heard this claim and deferred it here. Obiageli Ezanikwe is head of the Umuada, the daughters of this lineage. Born here, married out, returned again and again for the work that only they can do. She is in her late 40s. She was born in this compound. The compound knows the shape of her authority the way a door frame knows the person who passes through it daily. 3 women have spoken before Obiageli does. The youngest daughter, Nkiru, 20 years old, says something that the older women receive without a word. That silence is its own kind of teaching. Now Obiageli rises. At the far edge of the compound, behind the egusi mat, a small boy is listening. He has been there since the beginning. Nobody has told him to leave. 37 years from now, in 1929, 25,000 Igbo women will shut down colonial administration across the eastern region. The British will call it a riot. They will write in their reports that women were dancing and making noise. The boy will be an old man by then. He will know exactly what he saw in this compound today. Ndewo. No. I am Yvonne Choma Mbanefo, heritage futurist and daughter of the soil. Welcome to Igbo Daily Drops, episode 84, week 17, day 4, Thursday. Today, the daughters of the lineage and the authority that needs no announcement. Before any colonial court existed in eastern Nigeria, the Umuada were already arbitrating property, marriage and inheritance disputes with binding authority. The British arrived, observed women gathered, and wrote in their reports, women's dances. The 1929 Women's War was the invoice for that misreading. Ka anyị bido. Let us begin. This is not a protest. It is not a petition. The Umuada are not asking for permission to rule on Adeze's case. The men deferred it here because this is where it belongs, has always belonged. The Otu Umuada is not a women's organization the way a book club is a women's organization. It is a separate branch of government. It holds jurisdiction over property disputes, marriage, inheritance, community morality. Its rulings stand without enforcement because both parties in any dispute already know the ruling will stand. Obiageli does not raise her voice. She names 3 presidents from this compound across 3 generations. She knows them because her mother told her. Her mother's mother told her mother. The Umuada carries no written record. It carries this: continuous, unbroken, oral precedent, passed through the daughters. Adeze's husband's family argued that marriage had transferred her completely, that she was now their property, subject to their rules. The Umuada hears this claim and knows what it is. Marriage does not sever what was given at birth, not in life, not in death, not in anything in between. Today, 3 sentences. These are the sentences that name who holds authority, who is arriving, and why a whole compound moves when they do. Repeat after me. Sentence 1. Ha bụ ụmụada. In English, they are the ụmụada, daughters of the lineage. Ha bụ ụmụada. Ha bụ ụmụada. Ha bụ ụmụada. The 12 women seated in the obi. This is what they are, not a group, a branch of government. Sentence 2. Ụmụada na-abịa. In English, the ụmụada are coming. Ụmụada na-abịa. Ụmụada na-abịa. Ụmụada na-abịa. The messenger who carried those words to the compound arrived 3 days before they did. Everyone had time to prepare. Everyone needed it. Sentence 3. Anyị na-atụ ụmụada egwu. In English, we respect and fear the ụmụada group. In this case, it's more of are in awe of the ụmụada. We respect and fear the ụmụada group. Anyị na-atụ ụmụada egwu. Anyị na-atụ ụmụada egwu. Anyị na-atụ ụmụada egwu. In Igbo, atụ egwu carries both meanings at once, respect and fear, held in the same root, the same breath, because real authority produces both. These 3 sentences are in your free speaking workbook this week. Download it at learnigbonnow.com. If you're driving right now, just listen. The workbook will be waiting. Obiageli speaks. She does not look at the delegation from the husband's family. She looks at Adaeze. Adaeze, whose hands have been still this whole time. Adaeze, whose chin has not moved. The ruling takes less time than the silence before it. Adaeze has standing. The land is hers. The claim from the husband's family is dismissed. There is no raised voice, no celebration. The ụmụada does not need either. The ruling stands because the ruling stands. It was always going to stand. And Obiageli sits. There is a proverb for what just happened. The ụmụada have known it longer than the dispute that just proved it. Ozu nwada tọ n'ụzọ, ọ gbaa n'afa. Ozu nwada tọ n'ụzọ, ọ gbaa n'afa. If a daughter's corpse is not brought home to the family, it will show or appear at the fortune tellers. The Igbo cosmology does not recognize the transfer the husband's family claimed. Marriage cannot move what is fixed at birth. A daughter belongs to her natal earth so absolutely that if she dies in her husband's compound and is not returned, her spirit will not rest. The earth itself will make the claim on her behalf. If death cannot sever it, a property dispute certainly cannot. What Obiageli named in that compound, in 3 generations of precedent, in a ruling that needed no enforcement, the elders had always already said, Ozu nwada tọ n'ụzọ, ọ gbaa n'afa. Ozu nwada tọ n'ụzọ, ọ gbaa n'afa. If a daughter's corpse is not brought home, it will show at the fortune tellers. This is not a metaphor. It is an instruction about the structure of the world. A daughter's natal claim is permanent. Marriage is a relationship, not a transfer. The land knows who she is. My mother's people are from Mbise. When the Umuada gathered, you did not ask why. You moved. I grew up watching that authority operate. Not announced, not explained, simply present. The way gravity is present. I did not have language for what I was observing until much later. The language, when it came, was constitutional. In 2009, Professor Gloria Chukwu of the University of Maryland documented what I grew up inside. Writing in the International Journal of African Historical Studies, Volume 42, published in 2009, Chukwu identified the Otu-Umuada as what she calls the Supreme Court of Appeal on female matters and the watchdog of the men's political arm of government. Not an auxiliary body, not a support structure, a parallel branch of authority with its own jurisdiction. Her research confirms that when Obiageli's compound deferred that dispute to the Umuada, they were following constitutional procedure, not tradition in the soft sense, institutional law. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Iroquois, gave clan mothers the authority to nominate and remove male leaders. A formal female veto built into the constitutional structure centuries before Western democracy named such a concept. The Umuada system is an independently developed solution to the same governance problem. How do you build durable authority that does not depend on a single ruler, a single council, a single gender? What Montesquieu published in 1748, the separation of powers, the idea that governance requires distinct parallel branches, the Igbo were practicing before it was named. The Umuada is not a historical curiosity. It is a constitutional innovation. The two kinds of authority are not the visible kind and the invisible kind. They are the kind that announces itself and the kind that does not need to. If you want to practice these sentences with other families, with your children, the Igbo village speaking gym will soon be open. Before this day ends, say, "Anyị na-atụ ụmụada egwu" aloud, as you do something that requires you to hold your ground. A decision made, a boundary kept, the thing you know to be true that no one is asking you to name. Not as language practice, as a declaration. Because the proverb says, what the daughters decide endures, and what endures does not need to be loud to be real. Every sentence you learn is a drop, and every drop feeds Oke Osimiri Mmụta Igbo, the ocean of Igbo knowledge. Grab your free speaking workbook at learnibonow.com. Rate us wherever you're listening. Your review is how another learner finds their way home. This has been your Igbo Daily Drop. Abụ nwanne gị nwanyị Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo. I am your sister, Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo. Ka ọfọ gị dị ike, ka ikpe gị dịgide. May your authority be strong, and may what you decide endure. Ka anyị hụ echi, until we meet again tomorrow. Chiamaka's laptop screen is the brightest thing in the room. It is 9 o'clock on a Friday night in November, and the Owerri Cultural Association of Houston has given her 5 minutes to introduce herself. She has been preparing this for 2 weeks. She has the sentences written on a post-it note, stuck to the edge of her monitor, though she has not needed it for 4 days. The elders arrange themselves in their rectangles. A man in his 60s, grey at the temples. A woman in a coral blouse with the reading glasses pushed up on her forehead. 3 people who have their cameras off. Someone's ceiling fan spinning. Chiamaka presses her palms flat on her desk. She opens her mouth. The first thing out is her full name, Chiamaka Grace Fontenot. And then, surprising herself, the Igbo. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ Fontenot Ikechukwu. She fills the name with both of them, the Creole and the Igbo. Her father's given name as her family name because that is what she has of him. The room on the screen is quiet. Ndewo. No. I am Yvonne Choma Mbanefo, heritage futurist and daughter of the soil. Welcome to Igbo Daily Drops. Episode 85, Week 17, Day 5, Friday. Today, the sentences that name who you come from and the civilizational truth of what a name actually is. In Igbo tradition, a name does not describe you, it instructs you. Ka anyị bido. Let us begin. Chiamaka's mother is Creole, 3rd generation New Orleans, Catholic. Her red beans recipe has been in her family longer than anyone can verify. Her father, Ikechukwu, left when Chiamaka was 3, and what she has of him is the name, the cheekbones, and a DNA result she sat with for a very long time. 44% Igbo. She joined the Owerri Cultural Association of Houston 3 months ago. They had asked her to come prepared to introduce her family. In Igbo culture, this is not a social nicety. It is the first act of belonging. The Umunna, the extended family network, cannot accept you until it knows where to place you. Family introduction is not courtesy. It is cosmology. The red beans have been on the stove too long. She turns off the gas without checking whether they are done. Today, 3 sentences. The sentences that tell a room of strangers where you come from, so they know where to put you. So you know where you stand. Repeat after me. Sentence 1. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ. Then you add the name. In this case, it's Anyị bụ ezinụlọ Ikechukwu, Fontenot Ikechukwu. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ Fontenot Ikechukwu. Then you add the name of the family and then the family. So in this case, it's we are the Fontenot Ikechukwu family. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ Fontenot Ikechukwu. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ Fontenot Ikechukwu. Anyị bụ ezinụlọ Fontenot Ikechukwu. Chiamaka filled that bracket with both her names, all of them. Sentence 2. Ndị a bụ nne na nna m. In English, these are my mother and my father. Ndị a bụ nne na nna m. Ndị a bụ nne na nna m. She pointed to two people who were not in the frame. Sentence 3. Ị nwere ọtụtụ ụmụnne? In English, do you have many siblings? Ị nwere ọtụtụ ụmụnne? Ị nwere ọtụtụ ụmụnne? Ị nwere ọtụtụ ụmụnne? This is the question. She had not prepared an answer. These 3 sentences are in your free speaking workbook this week. Download it at learnigbanow.com. If you are driving right now, just listen. The workbook will be waiting. The man with grey temples leans towards his camera. He asks her, gently, with the particular patience of someone who has done this before, what village her father was from. Naze, she says, Owerri. He nods. I know that family, he says. And then he says her father's full Igbo name. The name she only knows from a document she found. The name she has been practicing for 2 weeks, so she could say it correctly tonight. And he says it without being told. Chiamaka's hands are flat on the desk. She does not cry. Something steadies in her. A posture, a quality of being in the room that changes when someone holds your name before you have offered it. That is what just happened. That is what the elders knew first. Aha mmadụ bụ ndụ ya. Aha mmadụ bụ ndụ ya. A person's name is their life. In Igbo understanding, a name is not what you are called. It is what the community holds for you, the shape of you in other people's mouths. I have spent years watching what happens to people when they hear their name said correctly by someone who knows what it means. The body changes. Something that was holding becomes still. Gwendolyn Midlo Hall, historian at Louisiana State University, documented in Africans in Colonial Louisiana, 1992, that Igbo people were recorded at Pointe Coupee, Louisiana, in the colonial period. She found something else. The musicality, the tonal rhythm of Louisiana Creole language carries the structural signature of West African tonal languages. The music did not imitate the language. They are made of the same material. And Samuel A. Floyd Jr., musicologist at Columbia University, in The Power of Black Music, 1995, argued that Congo Square, less than half a mile from Chiamaka's window, was the site where African cultural practices were not just preserved but were the direct structural source of all Black American music. The ring shout, the call and response, the overlapping voices that finish each other's phrases. Floyd was not making a comparison. He was tracing a route. What Igbo oral tradition encoded in its communal structure? The call, the answer, the overlapping voices, the rhythm that carries knowledge inside it. That structure did not stay in Owerri. It crossed the Atlantic. It was in Congo Square. It is in the second line brass band outside Chiamaka's window. She has been listening to this music her whole life. She has never heard it before. If you want to practice these sentences with other families, with your children, the Igbo village speaking gym will soon be open. Before this day ends, say, Anyị bụ ezinụlọ. Then you add your name aloud, your family name aloud. So you say, Anyị bụ ezinụlọ, then add your name aloud. With both your names, if you carry more than one. Not as language practice, as a declaration. Because aha mmadụ bụ ndụ ya. A name survives only in the mouths that speak it. Every sentence you learn is a drop, and every drop feeds Oke Osimiri Mmụta Igbo, the ocean of Igbo knowledge. Grab your free speaking workbook at learnigbonnow.com. This has been your Igbo Daily Drop. Abụ nwanne gị nwanyị Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo. I am your sister Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo. Ka aha gị bụrụ ndụ gị. May your name be your life. Ka anyị hụ echi. Until we meet again tomorrow. And that brings us to the end of this week's Igbo Daily Drops Omnibus. If a sentence or proverb stayed with you today, take a moment to say it again out loud. Every phrase you practice keeps the language alive. Remember, every sentence you learn is a drop, and every drop feeds Oke Osimiri Mmụta Igbo, the ocean of Igbo knowledge. If you'd like to practice this sentence further, download the workbook at learnigbonnow.com. Until tomorrow's drop, Abụ nwanne gị nwanyị Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo. I am your sister Yvonne Chioma Mbanefo. Ka chi gị duo gị ọfụma. May your chi guide you well.